Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 21st through 25th, 2021. Wow, so we're feeling these solstice energies, this feeling of coming to the end and making a turn around the bend. This whole year of 2021 has been incredibly intense with square after square after square of astrology, pushing us, stretching us, challenging us. The energies are all over the place with this Mercury retrograde and eclipse season in mutable signs, but now that is shifting. Tomorrow, yesterday, Jupiter turned turned retrograde, and tomorrow Mercury turns direct. So, what's happening now is it's kind of like solstice is like a 0 point, right? It's like, okay, going to the edge, turning around. And so that has an energy of like waiting to see what's coming next, because Mercury's turning direct tomorrow, but then it's going to come back into its third and final square with Neptune for the first week of July and come out of retrograde shadow on the 7th of July, 7/7. And so we don't know until then. We can feel massive shifting. We're rearranging our psyche. Everything is just so weird, but we don't really know what that means yet. So it's like, okay, the light is coming. I can see that light on the end of the tunnel. I can see this shift, but I still have no idea what that means in a practical, real world way. Or who knows what's real, right? That's the whole deal with this time that we're in. This retrograde eclipse season in mutable signs has been about a complete rearranging of the psyche. And now we're starting to get some insight about what that's about. So this next period of time, this next 2 weeks, it's a time to receive this rearranging, clean up any messes that got revealed, get really organized, because the next chapter that lies ahead is going to be very different, but it has to do with moving forward in a new way. So we want to take this time and make it work for us. And it's hard because it just is this never-ending feeling of like we're just treading water, going in circles. We're not even doing, what are we even doing in this reality, right? But can you sit back, be present with your own psychic rearranging and allow this next chapter to unfold, right? Now, what's going on is we're coming up to this Capricorn full moon, and that is on Thursday, and there will be an activation for that. I hope you can consider joining that Capricorn full moon activation on Thursday, the 24th at 10 a.m. U.S. Mountain Time. And the information to sign up for that is below. So, but this Capricorn full moon is the lunation after the solar eclipse in Gemini. So it's the completion of eclipse season. And isn't it wild that Mercury turns retrograde turns direct just a couple of days before? So just keep this in mind. This uncomfortable, stuck behind the gates feeling is shifting, but we're also being given a huge opportunity to figure out what this is all about. Because for this full moon and what we're feeling all week long is Venus in exact opposition to Pluto. Venus in Cancer, the feminine, nurturing the feminine. And with Pluto, we're always talking about power. So we're talking about the feminine power and nurturing ourselves back into our intuitive power. And then the opposition is power structures. Now, this is the key to this whole evolution. It's been coming up a ton. If you got to chat to do any of those soul group sessions, group intuitive sessions, you can go back and get the replay. Very powerful set of psychic healing that happened in those and ongoing for Supernova Souls from these soul group sessions, taking advantage of this powerful time that we're in. But a lot came up around Atlantean time, like going back to like, wait a minute, how did this whole thing start? Because we're starting to see, it's being shown to us right now in this glorious, uncomfortable time, this how we've been manipulated and controlled throughout time, since Atlantean time. And what was that about? How did that even start? Well, I'll tell you this, we will, especially advanced souls, this is why this is so key right now, because it's like we bought in to the story, to the lies, to the trickery, and we willingly gave our power over. That was a long time ago. Now you're just going to take it back and start thriving in your full potential? See what we're doing here? And so this Venus opposite Pluto is bringing up it's going to bring up vulnerabilities, I think, around where we've played other people's games, where we've played the game from Atlantean time. Now, this is the key though. So there's going to be, I feel like there's energies around frustration around where you've been held back in life, that feeling like something's working against you, you know? And that's hard, right? Because that's like that victim mentality, but it's actually true. Like you kind of have to validate that that is true. And this is a big part of what's keeping us from moving forward in our evolution, is that in order for us to move forward, humanity has to face en masse. They need to face this level, this truth about how we've been manipulated. And that place in the empath narcissist relationship where you finally fully face what's going on. And there's this deep grief, that wound. It's almost like it's designed to reignite and rip apart your psyche of this wound of separation. Because it's really hard as a conscious, empathic, sensitive human soul. This is our greatest gift, our emotionality, our power. But to face how much you've been manipulated, that level of evil, that is it really possible that these what appear to be people, but maybe they're clones or whatever, but because how could they act this way? Like they really want to create a mass extinction event. Like this is all like, could people really be that evil? And it's like, actually people can't. Humans, we've evolved to a place, right? But we've got some clones and hybrids and weird shit going on and robots and, and of course the agenda is to make us all robots, right? I mean, the technology fully exists to remote control, say a robot or an insect, right? A robot on any level. And so what's to say they're not trying to do this with us, right? With the nanotechnology, with the poison of this crimes against humanity is what's happening right now. And in order for us to get past this, we've got to face the truth of how evil this evil is. That's a great redemption for the supernova soul, because you've been carrying all of this, right? You blamed yourself, and that was a programming, and it started, and it was fear programming around your own intuitive potential. Now, this is the key, is that we were manipulated. Yes. We were lied to. Yes. We were traumatized with catastrophe in Atlantean time, but we willingly gave our power away, because guess what? It's a free will universe. You have to say yes within your being fully and completely to be on the ascension path. And this is exactly what's being offered to humanity right now. But you already made this choice. It's the only reason why you're here. And that's where these feelings coming up this week being like, wait a minute, did I come here to be a prisoner on a slave planet? Is this what I'm here for? Is this my purpose? I am done playing. And this is the key, because it's like, you're so much more than this. You're so much more than playing small and hiding in the corner and pretending you're not as big as you are and all the things we've had to do to survive. That's the wounds that's the energy that's coming up around Chiron and Aries, deep wounds over where we've given our power away. But if we recognize that we willingly gave it away, that means we can use our will to take it back. But just entertain that we have been on a prison planet and everything has been working against spiritual ascension for these hundreds, thousands of years because they cannot continue to feed on us. They can't exist in the higher dimensional realities and they can't continue to feed on us in the higher dimensional realities. So everything has gone into making sure that we never remember our intuitive power. And the thing is that supernova souls, you thrive in the higher dimensional realities because you've already experienced so much as a soul. It's actually been painful and harder for you in 3D because you've had to squeeze yourself and you couldn't fully incarnate because the energies on the earth couldn't support you at the time that you were born. But now that's changing. So you're literally incarnating this bigger self. And a huge energy came through with that solstice soul group session, a great soul retrieval opportunity to welcome home the bigger truth of who you are. But this is this interesting energy because we're having this Stockholm syndrome thing come up because it's like, I willingly gave away my power and I agreed to play small and had to go through all this to stay alive, and especially the Piscean age. The grid is breaking down. The control grid is breaking down. But we're so used to being controlled. We don't even know it, right? Supernova Souls, a big part of your painful narcissist empath relationship situation was showing you how over lifetimes you've allowed yourself to be controlled and manipulated, gaslit, and brainwashed. And that you could have been, the pattern I've seen in Supernova Souls is life where you've created over lifetimes karmic situations with souls that are working on the agenda to dampen the light or hide the light or suppress the light. They also want to feed on your light, the family narcissist energies, right? And how can they feed on your light if you know who you are? So it's been a long-held agenda to make sure you never know who you are, but we're starting, it's this feeling inside of you, right? It's like you can only push it down so far and it's going to come back with a vengeance. And so this, now it's starting, see, the deal is like we're in this really big shifting time with this eclipse and retrograde. And while you're in that big shift, you can't see what's going on. You can't really see what it's all about, right? But we're starting to get a glimpse because it's about this psychic rearranging. And now we know this Venus opposite Pluto is like, oh, this is the psychic rearranging. Because now I can feel that I can use my will. It's up to me how I feel. I'm not going to be manipulated anymore. I'm going to choose my light, my love, my spiritual truth each moment of each day. Get the F out of the way if you don't like it. This is how we use our will to break free. But if you've been a prisoner for so long and you didn't even know it, and that's what you're used to, and then the fear programming keeps you in that small place. Like, well, it's just easier to play along, right? Just go get your vax, put your mask on, just play along, just get along, just fit in, And it's like, you've been doing this for far too long, right? And you're about to go supernova. Nothing can hold that shit back, right? And so I think it's helpful to recognize that this rearranging time is about that. The Stockholm syndrome is like when you've been a prisoner for so long and then the gates are open, right? I mean, there's whole programs to help prisoners re-educate, reorient back into society. And that's what we're doing. We don't even know how to interact with each other as advanced, true, authentic souls showing up. We just don't even know. We don't even know how to do it. We don't know how to be free. We didn't even know we were prisoners. And now that's what this whole time is about. So the psychic rearranging is like, does it make sense to fear my own power? Like, why would I even have it? And I can feel it and it's beautiful. And the more I come into it, the better I feel, the better life is. Everything makes more sense. But is it safe for me out there alone? Because nobody else is doing it. Oh, right, you're a supernova. You came here to show the way, Ugh, right? But so we have to become comfortable with the feeling of freedom, right? That we've been programmed, uh, long held programming to keep us feeling scared of freedom. And that's exactly these core wounds of Aries with Chiron and Aries, because this Capricorn full moon is happening at 3 degrees, 28 minutes Capricorn. And that means that after the moon will come into a square, and it'll basically be like a T square, loose T square, sun and the moon opposite each other, and Chiron in Aries. So the moon will go right into a square with Chiron, and then the sun will go be in a square with Chiron for that first week of July. So this is why we're feeling this, like Venus nurturing feminine power and the power of nurturing up against control structures. So we have been taught that the control structures, which would, just for example, would be like the church or the synagogue or whatever, any kind of religious, any kind of control energy organization, that's the power. And it's not. It's a structure holding the power, holding it down, keeping it from you, right? And this whole bullshit story we bought into, that God is something outside of ourselves, we have to earn or deserve or work towards or, overcome, all this stuff. And it's just like, no, that's total BS. And yet we're still kind of living from that subconscious place because it's so deeply programmed. Now, what this has created is a situation where we have been programmed to, this seems to be the deepest mysteries of the true Christ consciousness, like, and uncovering the Christ story, the true magic of the Christ consciousness from underneath the religious stories. We have been programmed to put our faith in outside sources, that we need to be shown in our manifest world proof. Do you see what's going on right now? I know that there's a lot of souls, like if you're aware and awake and you've been really paying attention to what's going on, doing your research, not just listening to the news feed and accepting that as truth, then you have your mind open, you're going through this awakening. But it feels like when I see changes in the world to confirm what I think is going on, then I'll feel better, right? Like we have been so taught that our faith, we've associated the concept of faith and trust in physical manifested proof. And that, if you think about it and think logically, it's not ever gonna, because the whole point is that a big part of how the control energies have held back this evolution is through materialism, through trying to get us to think that we are our body. We live, we have one life and we die and that's it. And nothing ever actually dies, right? But that attachment to the physical, materialism, and that you're safe when you have these things. And that's not safety at all, because we know that you can't take any of that shit with you. It's not even real. It's Maya. So the beautiful opportunity in the psychic rearranging is are you really ready to be free? Don't you know you're more than this? You know you're more than this. And that's the faith you need in who you are as a soul and what you've gone through. And it's inside of you. And it's so potent and so powerful. And so it's a rearranging of faith. And also this Venus in Cancer. She feels like that vulnerable little girl standing up to the man, standing up to the powers that have held her control. And now this is really interesting because Venus in Cancer is speaking to nurturing. And when we have that, those times in your life, and I know it's been really hard, but when you have felt that faith and trust, it's kind of like you feel the universe supporting you, you feel the ground under your feet, you feel connected to the mother, you feel that there's a force bigger. You're not just an ant playing a game about to be squished by these control energies that are acting out, playing out this depopulation agenda, right? This is what they want. The lower grid is all about disconnecting you from your spiritual magic. And maybe this is part of this energy because Jupiter just turned retrograde yesterday, made it to 2 degrees Pisces. Those early degrees of a sign are initiatory. They're like, and Jupiter is expanding. And it's speaking to expanding back into spiritual connection, the mystery, the magic, the miracles. But there's something a little bit off here because you're the miracle. You're in a body aware of yourself as God consciousness. So why do you need a miracle to show you? Although that's a really fun energy, right? But it's like the Jupiter moving into Pisces is kind of like, hey, you guys, we got to reclaim this magic, the purity of the spiritual impulse, that cup of God, this spiritual connection, this feeling of connection. How can we move forward without it, right? And the whole Piscean age was about trying to squish that. So we can't get out of the Piscean age until we come back to our mystical spiritual connection revelation. And that's just outside the firmament grid, right? Maybe that's where it comes to this will, the power of our will. And it's not our will to push through our agenda. That's that narcissist bullshit that all we've ever known, right? But using our will to take back our awareness and our faith and our trust in spirit and the mother. And that there's just so much more to this story. And this is part of the supernova journey right now, is to find this faith. And it's completely different than the faith. It's like almost that word has been completely distorted, right? And yet this is such an important concept. And so really, really powerful. And we're basically, so say this lower grid is breaking down, this programming that's been keeping us, you can choose more of that, right? You can stay on your phone all day. You can hook up your smart stuff. You can be just fully, be immersed in the grid. Go get your vax, get your microchip, get your nanotechnology injection, become that remote controlled human. You can choose that right now, because this is free will. So it's our will that gets us out of it. That's why this Mars in Leo is so powerful for us right now, because it's like, the will and the expression of our own godlight. We just bought into that it was outside of ourselves. We just trusted the wrong people. We didn't know that level of evil could even exist. And now we got to get ourselves out of it. And the only way is for the whole planet, the whole humanity, to see very clearly the level of evil and manipulation. And that's exactly what's coming. And it's painful. It's painful. That place when you've been deeply betrayed and you trusted. And it's like, how is it even possible for a person to want to cause harm? And this is what's so frustrating, because as a supernova soul, you've already committed and you're working within the laws of karma, because you're not going to stick around here. Like, you already decided you're completing your process here. You're going to light body and you're going to come into your full expression as a star being. But I guess it all comes back to our will. And maybe this is where our faith comes from. And that's why we go through these excruciating experiences, so we can come back to that faith, so that you can be there for other people who are going through them. And this is where this Venus opposite Pluto is, power structures that have overpowered and manipulated the true power, which is feminine power, really. I mean, it's free energy. It's everything that keeps our world going, and our beautiful Mother Earth regenerating herself continually. this mystical, magical, wonderful feeling of connection. It's weird because we kind of have two different versions of Earth going on, right? We got this new Earth, and we were all playing in that energy all last year. And then we got kind of pushed back into the lower grid with these activities trying to keep us all back down in the lower grid, right? And this is where we're being given an opportunity to use our will to come back into that spiritual faith, come back into why we're here, come back into, yeah, I'm not here to be a slave anymore, which says all you need. It's really oppressive, right? I mean, there's definitely some souls have experienced unprecedented control in your life. You might not even know that that's what's happening. And psychological, energetic manipulation. And it's happening to all of us, right? Like the US government started mind control experiments back in the 50s, right? And you don't think that shit is, right? It's being used on all of us. And some souls have been way more targeted for longer and not even maybe realize that's what's going on. Why it's so hard to climb yourself up out of that psychological prison. But now we're having a crack in the matrix, and it's like, oh, I bought into the story. I willingly gave my power away, my connection to my own life force. And that means I can take it back. See? And this is what's been coming through in this last 6 months or so, this message so strong of, guess what? You bought into it, and the fear programming, you willingly gave your power away. But it's your power, because this is the key concept to everything, is that we've been living that ant life, not even realizing, thinking we have control over our life, right? And this power, a human soul in a body is the highest form of consciousness on Earth. That's why they're doing everything to disconnect us from that life force, disconnect us from our body. The psychological experiments have created such a cluster F in the astral plane of souls through addiction, mind control, MK Ultra stuff. And there's like these souls stuck. And that's exactly what is trying to happen with the vax agenda, right? But those that have held on are getting more and more supported energetically. Like you lose this. I'm sure there's times when you wanted to, like, oh, it's been really hard to hold on to that silver cord and know that there's something more, and feeling so alone, so isolated. That's part of the agenda. You bought into it, you gave it away, so now it's time to bring it back. And this is the thing. It's like when we fully realize and actualize this truth that we're the highest form of life as a human soul in a body, we've been giving it away to these hybrid creatures, then we can take it back, because guess what? We're worthy. We can handle it. It's ours in the first place. We just bought into a bullshit story. And this is this energy of like climbing our way back to true faith in your power and your ability to be sovereign and claim your autonomy. But what I'm seeing is that as the lower grid breaks down, it's almost like we go deeper into our prison that we didn't even know we were in, because it's comfortable. So that's maybe part of this time as Mercury goes direct, as we come out of the shadow period, as we come out of the shadows with all of this disclosure and truth that's about to come out into the world, that maybe that's part of this story of getting out of the story and coming back into and using our will to claim back our power. So this Venus opposite Pluto, full moon in Capricorn in square to Chiron. So this is interesting because this means a whole bunch of cardinal energy. And the cardinal signs are the instigators, right? So we're coming out of the mutable, like, wait a minute, I don't know where I'm going. I can't move forward. I got to go back a little bit. I got to reevaluate. I got to clean out the corners. And now it's like, okay, get going, start something. And then Mars and Leo is all about this expression and creative expression and your truth, the will, the power, thy will, right? And maybe that lower personality construct that we've all been stuck in is about this feeling of disconnection and I guess when you put your faith in something completely outside of yourself, then you're powerless. And I guess that's the key to everything coming up right now. And so what does it mean to take back your power? What is the fear programming? Why are you, why if the gate, it might be that what I'm seeing in Supernova Souls is like, I think the gates are open, right? The grid is dismantled to a point where we can step out of it. You can go, yeah, I've been psychologically manipulated within an inch of my life. But it's up to me. I bought into it. So I get to take my power back. They have nothing on you, right? Except for fear. And just so incredibly powerful. And so that Mercury direct is like coming out of these shadows. And yet it feels like, really, is it okay for me to go ahead? Can I trust this? Like, say going through a period of time in your life where nothing was working out, right? And then all of a sudden things start to fall into place and it's kind of like, wait, can I trust it? I'm so used to this. I'm almost more comfortable with the conflict and the energy working against me because it's just what I know and it keeps me defined. It keeps me feeling like psychically safe. And that's the thing. We got to just get out of the prison. And that's where this energy of emancipating ourselves from the mental slavery. Your thoughts are your own. Your emotions are your own. You get to decide how you feel. Because those lower grid energies and psychological attack use our emotionality energy. It's like pushing our buttons to just drag us back down into that lower vibration. That's when they can feed on us, right? And what we're doing is trying to inch that vibration up so that they can't even exist on our planet. And that is what's happening. And we've already crossed that threshold, right? But we're stuck until people understand what's been really going on. And here we are at this unfolding. And it's going to get weirder before it gets more clear, right? Because we have a whole week, or the first week of July, very powerful, because that's when the sun is going to be in that square with Chiron, sun in Cancer, in square with Chiron. So this is the power of nurturing. That's our birthright, in square to the wounds of where we gave our power away. Right? So who are you without those stories of always fighting against something? Redefining ourselves as humans. And so this is our opportunity to emancipate ourselves and recognize. In order to do that, you have to recognize that you've been in prison. And maybe your prison just got so comfortable, you'd rather not face the fact that you've been in prison. Which is why we have to get uncomfortable. And that's this Venus opposite Pluto. It's like everything that's ever worked against you and why, and it's coming up, karmic contracts, authority contracts. But it's our opportunity to give ourselves full permission, because if it doesn't get uncomfortable, it doesn't hurt, you'll never give yourself permission to move into the higher frequency vibrations. And this is like that. And that Mars and Leo really helping us to express that God self, to come into our faith and trust in the divine plan, in thy will, in the optimal outside of agenda, right? That's where we've gotten so trapped. We don't realize that like these lower control energies, we willingly gave our power away, but then there's hierarchical energies, right? Of these control energies outside of, that are working on other realms. And those energies where we gave our power to are not as evolved as where you came from originally and how far you've gone in your evolution as a supernova soul. So what in the heck are we doing? Right? And then to just kind of wait for God to come save us, maybe that's part of the trap. Right? Oh, it's all really intense, but it's so powerful because we're at the edge of the gate and it's opening. So this is kind of our saying, I have the power within me to overcome the psychological mind control. And I have decided that I get to feel. I'm in charge of how I feel. I'm in charge of my thoughts. And the only way to do that right now is to align back to source again and again and again. The love and the prayer and the vision, the energy of what we're doing here, the bigger picture of what we're really doing here, and that faith in that divine timeline, the faith in who you are as a soul, you know, in the faith in that we know God wins. And standing right and true in that energy, moment by moment, and affirm and confirm and demonstrate it's going to be more and more welcome and received by the people around you. And that's a beautiful shift for Supernova Souls. So I hope you'll consider joining me for that Capricorn full moon activation. That's going to be Thursday, just a couple of hours before the actual full moon. We'll just really get into that energy and get this end chapter of this eclipse season. And everything with the Capricorn energy is about the restrictions on the power, the structures that have blocked the power, your power, free energy, our immune system. And then we thought the structure was God, right? They told us that the structure was God. You have to go through us to get to God. And it's like, no. And once you see through that, it's like the structures have no power. They're just going to dismantle. The power has the power. It's all been a big trick. So really powerful energy to step out of that grid, to step back into your power and your nurturing and your faith and your truth and your trust. And it should feel better, as you know, it's that uncomfortable time, but also once Mercury turns direct and we start moving and things unfolding, it should feel at least there's that forward motion. Neptune turns retrograde on the 25th, the day after that full moon on Friday. And so that will mean all of our big planets retrograde except for Uranus. And so it's kind of like, hold on. The big planets are the backdrop, the big cosmic story, right? And our personal planets are the ones we feel directly. And so it's kind of like, hold on, you guys. Hold the change. There's big changes seen happening, but hold tight because we're not quite ready. We lost the props. We lost the things that need to go where they need to go. We have to kind of get all the ducks in a row. And that's exactly the psychic rearranging and a complete rearranging of the power structures of our government and financial systems. So I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update, or perhaps that full moon activation on Thursday. Thanks so much for being with me. If you appreciate these updates and you want to support these updates and support this work, the best way to support is to become a member of the Soul Tribe, the Supernova Soul Tribe, and that's $10 a month on my website, and the information is below. You can also sign up for those events. That's a great way to support, and you can catch the replay. If the live time doesn't work in your time zone, the replay is available immediately after the event at the same link that you signed up. So that same link takes you to the live and it takes you to the replay. Easy. And I also can accept direct donations, and the information for that is in the box below. But thank you so much for your support, for being present. I feel you, Supernova Souls. We're doing it. We're doing this together, and couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.